Yeah, that'd be interesting. Obviously, with the likes of Flow Sports picking up WNN and stuff like that, like they're trying to get all the independents on theirs under one subscription. I'm sure WWE are noticing that, and they realise that, hold on a second, we better get in on this stuff, whether we're them or not. I think nowadays, Matt, like it might have been with Triple H's influence more, but I think there's more of an acceptance that, okay, there is life outside of WWE now. Like, we're going to acknowledge it, you know. And the first time I felt that was with the Cruiserweight Classic, that they had a lot of those guys in, and some of them weren't signed up for WWE to stay, and that you know showed me that WWE finally is getting the message that, you know, there's a different audience out there that want to see just the wrestling and stuff like that. But yeah, the network in general, I think it's doing well. I think they do get a bit desperate sometimes. I think we had an emailer on a little while ago kept saying he was fed up with kind of the kept getting the messages about, you know, sign up now, you get 2 months, 3 months free. You know, like, you've been subscribed for this long, like, where's our kind of free stuff for being loyal? And you know, they always do it at the back end of the financial years, like in their quarter yearly things, but they love to have it where they've got loads of subscribers. But what you don't realise, it looks good on paper, but most of them don't stick around after the free runs out, and that's the problem. Obviously, around WrestleMania season, it's booming, but mind you, after last year's, I'm not sure they can even count on that these days. But it's one of those things, mate. I kind of feel like WWE does really well for the hardcore audience. Like, the people will moan, but they're never gonna unsubscribe. Like, they are there for life. But I feel like they're doing too much for those people in particular, and they're not getting the casual viewer anymore. Like that kind of, there's a reason Raw is not where it was back in the 90s, and they've either fell out of love with wrestling or moved on to something else. But man, how can you have been getting those kind of numbers when you're competing with another company, and yet we're so dwarfed in numbers on Monday Night Raw now? Now I know they come out many times, and Triple H always says that third hour's because people go on their mobile devices and watch it that way, but I don't really buy too much of that, to be honest with you. But there are many reasons why we think this is the reason. One, I think it's too long, by about an hour for sure. They haven't got enough to fill it with. I mean, 3 hours of pay-per-view is long enough, but now every Raw just seems extremely long, to be quite honest with you. But then you got all the pay-per-views. Is there a case, Matt, of having just too much wrestling, do you think?
Well, it's hard for me to say that, because I really do enjoy watching it. You know, it would feel really harsh for me to say, yeah, I've had enough of it. But I guess for some people that can be the case. For the casual fan especially, it's a lot to keep up with. To keep the general kind of fan interested, it sometimes is good to have bite-sized kind of chunks. And that might particularly be the success of NXT. It's only an hour, isn't it? Yeah, you can easily keep up with that. And the fan base can remain that strong because people will think, well, I've got an hour, I'll put that on. Whereas if you think, I want to watch it before I go work, if I put Raw on, no, it'll be 3 hours long.
Yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult, and you know, it's hard to know what they can do to captivate that casual audience that were out there at one time. But yeah, I definitely feel 3 hours is just an hour too long for me anyway. With that roster, the way things are, I think if it was back in 2002 when they had, you know, the NWO, Rock and Ho, you know, all of those guys, Austin and Angle and Brock, you know, Benoit, Guerrero, Jericho, if they had all that lot, I could see them filling 3 hours nice and easy. But I think with how it is now, they just haven't got enough. And I do feel like even the Cruiserweight thing is just kind of there to fill time sometimes. and we get quantity over quality, which is unfortunate, and it makes the pay-per-views feel far less. Matt, let's try and get to the end of this podcast, and want to talk about another thing now, Matt, that happened during our. Seems like there's a lot happened in the space of a fortnight, but this much more personal to you. Sasha Banks, Matt, she's won the belt. Spoke about Charlotte earlier, but Sasha Banks, she's won it again on Raw. How did you feel about that? And did you kind of get the way the story's going to play out between the two, and where it's going to go next?
I suppose it's a good thing that she's a champion. I do appreciate the kind of work that she puts in, but equally as much, Charlotte puts in a great deal of that as well. She won the title like on the first episode of the new version of Raw, didn't she?
Mm-hmm,
and that was the moment. That was the moment, like that there was a history-making moment. Sure. When you look back in 20 years' time, you will think of that one rather than this one. So this one feels a little bit underwhelming. Mm-hmm. It kind of feels like the next time she won it like this, it should have been at a pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. It just feels like they're cheating us a little bit because they won't give us that because they're too... It's almost like Charlotte's pay-per-view streak is more important than the actual winning of the title. Sure. It's like they're trying to keep Charlotte protected so that later on they can say, well, she's undefeated in 12 or 13 consecutive pay-per-views, when that shouldn't matter as much as the actual winning of the title.
Yeah. I don't dislike it, but I do feel like it was like a little cheap way of getting people like to think, oh, this is still unexpected, like watch a Raw, because you never know what you get. Like, it was straight after the pay-per-view of SmackDown, and I kind of felt like that was their way of saying, this is what we do for you. Like, I'm very eager to see, Matt, SmackDown after the Raw pay-per-view. I'm interested to see what they do that week and whether they mimic slightly what happened. I'm not saying they do it the same with their women's belt, but I'm going to ask the question if there'll be a change in a title or something big might have, like a turn or something on that SmackDown, because that's what used to happen in the original brand split. If a pay-per-view wasn't, that brand's pay-per-view wasn't on that week, then the following show would always have like something big going to happen to sort of make up for it. And I'm interested to see if they still go along with that formula, which is, by the way, very too predictable in some ways. I hope that's not the case, because if it is, Matt, we're going to call that one every time, aren't we? We're just going to be sitting there waiting for what's next. Where they go with Sasha and Charlotte, I don't know. Like, do they want to protect Charlotte and have that run? But at the same time, here's what will... The way you do it, I suppose, Matt, in a way, is you have Charlotte winning, but in a way where she can't win the belt. Do you know what I mean? It could end like that, so it protects both of them. I'm guessing that's one possibility that could happen. So it's like undefeated, but it's kind of not winning the belt, and it keeps Sasha at a level. I do feel that whatever happens, Sasha has to have a run. She has to make her mark now, especially having it the second time, because that could damage her slightly. Keep doing that, because the next time that happens, you're going to be asking, well, it's not going to last long anyway. Wait for the next thing. So yeah, I'm for it, but I need to see where it goes. Okay, Matt, I'm going to end on the last two topics now. I'm going to try and get through this lot. I could not mention Goldberg, Brock Lesnar a little bit more. I know last time on the podcast they both booked in now to the Royal Rumble, and I'm guessing, Matt, that we're expecting Goldberg Lesnar at WrestleMania, and if Matt Lesnar gets the win there, do we sort of forgive and forget what happened at Survivor Series?
That's a difficult one. I don't think I can. I don't think
it's holding on to this.
But it kind of has put me in the position where I never thought I'd say it, but I want to see Brock versus Goldberg at WrestleMania again. You know, those words hurt to come out my mouth. But you know, after the last night, I didn't feel like it was what they were selling us. I didn't know they were going to sell me like a 1.5 minute match. I thought I was going to see at least 10 minutes. I was thinking, go the maximum, but they could do 10 minutes. So I feel like I still deserve to see that, along with all the other fans out there. Because if we've been told we're going to see this, then it should happen. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen at the Royal Rumble, but I get the feeling that that's just going to make things a little bit worse.
Yeah. What did you make of the Paul Heyman interview where he cried?
That was a little bit over the top there, I thought, okay. That's not what I want to be seeing. I want to be seeing some determination here. I want to be seeing a thing of like Brock, like defend Brock a little bit. You know, say he wasn't ready. Say like he's eager for another match. Say he'll destroy Goldberg. Don't cry.
Yeah, I thought for a second they were gonna like cut to another angle, and I know they put Sable on there or something, saying my husband can't speak. He's too emotional or something, you know, like where were they going? I mean, I like the idea that they kind of kept saying that they underestimated him and all that kind of stuff. Like, I kind of got all that, but as soon as he started to break down in tears, I was like, oh no. But what I really want to see, I guess the story here, Matt, is you want to see the most uncontrollable, like maybe this is the thing that's going to wake Brock up again and you see him have another purpose to be even more ruthless than ever. And I guess that's what WWE wants people to think, that this, you know, the next version of Brock now is going to be even more ruthless than ever. And he's got a legit, you know, problem here. You know, a real obstacle in his way. The issue is, what, you know, is this going to take over the entire Royal Rumble match itself? I don't know. I don't know whether I can't see either of them winning it. But then again, I don't want to say, I don't want to throw that into anything, because it could happen after what we've seen this year. But do you think that's just going to be kind of like a big shenanigans in the ring, and then it's kind of like on to WrestleMania? I mean, where do you think they go with it? Do they still have Goldberg going over strong? Because in a way, Matt, what I've been reading, whether this is true or not, it was Vince McMahon's call to have Goldberg winning that quick to make people believe that there is a real, genuine threat that Bill Goldberg can win the Royal Rumble again. Well, not again, but actually win the Royal Rumble. But you know, even though I still don't believe that, but that is apparently one of their angles on it. What do you think about that, Matt?
I guess it does make sense. Like, if Goldberg had lost to Brock, then there would be a feeling that him entering the Rumble would be a bit pointless. We'd be thinking, well, you know, he hasn't got a chance. Like, well, why do we even want to see that? But having him go, get a win on Brock like that does make you kind of think, what kind of plans have WWE got inside here? Why are they actually pushing Brock so hard? Well, not Brock, I mean Goldberg. Why are they pushing him so hard? Like, is he going to actually go further? Is he actually going to win this thing? I mean, I'm hoping it wasn't kind of like people like us that made this a problem. Like, they heard like people saying, oh, you know, Goldberg's only in there a short time. He hasn't got the stamina. Like, he doesn't, like, he's a bit too old. So I hope it wasn't that kind of thing that made him think, oh, okay, well, we're going to prove you wrong. Because I don't need to be proved wrong. I mean, I know the way it works. I know you could just be told you're going to win, and then you're going to win. But I'm just hoping that at Royal Rumble, something happens that they both get eliminated. You know, I mean, I am a fan of Brock, so I don't mind if he wins. But, you know, I'm all for a Royal Rumble for once where the winner isn't predictable.
Yeah, the problem with this is, again, you go back to 2004. Goldberg, Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble there. They had shenanigans in that. You'll remember Brock came out and F5'd him shortly after Kurt Angle eliminated Goldberg. I mean, it has kind of been done before. I do want to throw that out, even though I think this makes the Rumble a little bit more interesting coming up. It does do that, and I know it's going to be a big Royal Rumble because of the venue. It's going to be a big stadium kind of arena. They've got to bill it on something, you know, big there, but it does worry me if you know, they're going to do something that, you know, could turn it on its head. But hopefully it won't, and you know, it'll just add to the story, add to the feud, and